Hey everybody, Shwazy here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a quick overview of the all-new 2023 Hyundai Palisade. Now, this particular trim level is the top-of-the-line calligraphy, but a lot of what I discussed today can apply to other trim levels as well. So we're going to start with a tour of the exterior, I'll show you the interior, and then we'll talk about some of the features and specs that you should know if you're considering picking up one of these vehicles. Now, before we get started, I do want to give a huge thank you to the Rocky Mountain Automotive Press for giving us the opportunity to review all of these vehicles. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get all of the vehicles in today's event on camera, but this was an awesome event, and I'm going to put their information down below so you guys can reach out to them if you have any questions. And also a huge thank you to the manufacturers and press vehicles that were out at today's event for giving us the opportunity to sit behind the wheel and really test drive these vehicles. So I don't think this vehicle needs any introduction. This is the 2023 Hyundai Palisade, and if you are lucky enough to own one, then you probably know all of the features I'm discussing today. But this is one of the hottest vehicles on the market. This and its cousin or sister, however you want to call it, the Kia Telluride, these cannot stay on dealership lots. They sell out all the time. People are putting markups on them. So this is a very, very hot vehicle. So I don't really know exactly why Hyundai decided to redesign it, since if it's not broke, don't fix it. But here we have the 2023 model, which is the facelifted version, which is a little bit different than the outgoing model. The main difference from the front end is these LED headlights now are kind of on the outside versus the inside on the current version. And then Hyundai calls this the cascading front grille. And honestly, it looks really cool, especially with how these front turn signals kind of look like they're part of the metallic front grille. And Hyundai does a good job at that, especially with their Sonata, where they make trim pieces look just like lights and vice versa. And they succeeded with that here. You have this really kind of more muscular stance to the front end with the new front fascia. Looks really nice. You still have your headlights over here down at the bottom. These are your turn signals, and then daytime running lights. Then you have this little part that's also a daytime running light as well, which is a little bit odd, but kind of cool too, because you don't see that very often. Coming over to the side, not much in terms of changes. I do believe they updated these side view mirror blinker lights. Those look really nice. Again, this is the calligraphy. This is the top of the line version, so everything you see here is the best of the best that Hyundai has to offer. And then coming to the back, not as many changes, but they did update it just a little bit with the rear taillights, and I believe the rear bumper as well. But this vehicle didn't really need a redesign. It was already a very striking, good-looking vehicle, but they just made it a little bit better. Now, in terms of the sizing, it actually is just a little bit larger than the current version. It's a little bit longer on the front and the back because of the overhangs. And a lot of what they changed is actually on the interior. So let's show you what that looks like. So opening up this vehicle, this is definitely a perfect example of Hyundai and Kia punching above their weight. This interior looks phenomenal. This could easily be a Genesis or even any of the German vehicles. And wait until you hear the price tag on this thing, because I think you'll be shocked. You have this very nice aluminum feel to it. I don't know if this is real aluminum, but it has a nice little texture to it. You've got this leather wrapped armrest, this beautiful speaker grille, something you'd find in like a Mercedes. This is Harman Kardon. This is hard touch plastic, but that's expected for a vehicle of this price point. This is soft touch material all throughout. And then you've got this cool, it's like a piano black, but it almost has like a stripe going through it, several stripes lined across. Looks really nice. And then you do have memory seats. Now, coming inside, you have Palisade written on the footwell. That's really nice. And these seats are incredible. I mean, let's just take a look and admire how they look, because you've got this kind of quilted material up here, and then it turns into a perforated leather. And then you've got a little bit of bolstering over here for your thigh support. Now, coming over into the vehicle, let's step inside and let me show you what that looks like. So standard for the Palisade here in 2023 is this 12.3-inch display. It's all digital and it looks stunning. I really like what they did here. The interior has been updated a little bit. Again, it didn't need much in updates, but it does look better than the outgoing version. An updated steering wheel with this kind of 4-spoke, but it's almost like a 2-spoke design. Very luxurious. You do have kind of a crease going across the steering wheel. Feels really good in the hands, leather wrapped. You've got your cruise control features here. And Hyundai and Kia have a very good semi-autonomous driving system where this thing will actually stay within the lanes and it doesn't pester you too much to keep your hands on the steering wheel. On the left-hand side is your audio controls and your phone. Now, coming over to the left, you'll catch a glimpse of the ambient lighting. Unfortunately, I can't catch this vehicle at night, but it does look really nice. That's an added feature with this facelift. And then you just have your parking brake controls and your tow mode. Now, coming over To the right-hand side, this is the giant 12.3-inch display. Actually, both of these are 12.3 inches. And this is something I've showed on other Kia Hyundai models. They use the same software. It's really snappy, really quick to use, very simple to use too. All your menus are pretty much just on these 3 screens. You don't have to go through a ton of different little menus to figure out exactly what you want. And some of these features are really cool, like passenger talk, where I can say something and you can actually hear it in the 3rd row if you were back there. I hear a little bit of an echo, but it's kind of hard to hear, but it only targets the rear speakers. So lots of fun and unique functionality to this system over here. And if you guys are curious of a more in-depth review of this software, I did a video on a Kia Carnival, which had a similar software to this, and you guys can check out that video. Coming further down, you do have physical controls for some of the quick access buttons. And then down here, you have another display for your climate control, but you still have a physical button for the temperature, but it is a touchscreen for the fan speed and whether you're doing AC or where you're pointing the airflow. Over here is your drive modes, which is really nice dial, and I really like how it changes the gauge cluster, if my camera would focus. You know, I like the sport mode, looks really nice. It has this cool graphic when it changes to the different drive modes. Looks really nice. Kudos to Hyundai and Kia for doing that. You do have hill descent control here, which is kind of funny because I don't think you'll take this vehicle off-roading. You do have heated ventilated seats, a heated steering wheel. Obviously, if you push this button, you do have a 360 camera, which is amazing. Again, not something you'd really find at this price point or really from this type of manufacturer. So amazing job there. You do have, these are your buttons. Instead of a traditional shifter, you have just buttons to change your gear. And then this is kind of a flat surface, but if you hold this button, push it in, you do have a large storage compartment, and this is a wireless charging pad over here, so it's kind of hard to see on camera, but it kind of goes inside of the center console, and then you do have a USB port. Now this is a very interesting and smart thing that Kia and Hyundai have invented, or at least this is the only vehicle that I've really seen it on, is if you push this button, you have a cup holder, but you know, you're not going to have drinks in here all the time. So if you just want a large storage space, especially if you have kids and you want to store some stuff, you can actually just use this as a storage compartment, and then when you need cup holders, you just push the button and it pops out. Really smart idea here from Hyundai and Kia. This center arm console is really soft. It's also pretty deep as well, and you do have a 12-volt adapter and a mini USB port, which is nice, and a little tray for you to store some stuff. Coming over to the passenger side, again, you have more of that cool kind of piano black, but it's not just plain piano black. I like that they added that accessory, and it goes all the way onto the door. Look at the stitching that you have on that door panel. Same with the driver's side. Just really incredible interior. It just feels luxurious, and I wish I could show you some of that ambient lighting, but you do have more ambient lighting located underneath this air vent. And overall, you know, the front is just an amazing place to sit. You do have suede headliner, which is not something you'd find in this price point either. And then, of course, since you do have rear air vents, you don't have a panoramic sunroof, but you do have 2 different sunroofs. So you have one for the rear seats, and it's pretty massive. It actually extends pretty much into the 3rd row. And then of course you have one for the front row. So I get why they didn't add one over here, because you do have air vents over there, but I like that they still included it for the 2nd and 3rd row. So now let's jump into the 2nd row and show you some of the cool features back there. Okay, jumping back here, it's just as nice of a place to sit, if not better than the 1st row. Again, nice soft touch material. It's not super soft, but it is like an injection molded plastic. It is softer. You do have a soft armrest here. Again, some more of that really nice stitching over here on the 2nd row. You do have 2 cup holders for larger families, and then a cup holder located down here. And then you do have the sunshade. It is manual operated, but still it's nice to have for a vehicle at this price point. Now coming inside, this is a magnificent place to sit, especially if you're a little kid or if you get the opportunity to sit in the 2nd row. It's really, really comfortable. And Hyundai really made some advancements. Now you do have kind of like an airplane style headrest over here where you can actually kind of pull it closer so that you can fall asleep and be comfortable and not kind of nod your head around as we all have done in the past. And then there's really easy access into the 3rd row. You just push this button and the entire unit slides forward, and then you have really easy access into that 3rd row. And sitting back here, it's not a bad place to be. Let me push this seat back. So my knees are touching the back of this seat rest, but this isn't, you know, the size of, like, let's say a GMC Yukon or something that's much larger than this. This is still a reasonably sized 3-row vehicle, and you could easily fit children or teenagers back here. Adults may want to stick back here for short road trips. I wouldn't stick anybody back here for a long period of time, but nonetheless, you do have air vents located back here, and you do have still the same nice premium stitching on these seats. So they're just as comfortable and just as nice, albeit a little bit less bolstered than the second and first row, but still nice to have. And then you do have heated seats in this 3rd row, which is absolutely amazing because I don't know how often that's actually going to be used. Obviously, you have a power outlet for USB charging, 2 more cup holders back here. This is hard touch plastic. I always complain about this because even luxury vehicles don't have this soft touch plastic in the ones I've reviewed. So I do wish this was a soft touch material. I'd prefer that over heated seats, but nonetheless, you do have that as an option. And then Hyundai made it really easy to get out of the 3rd row. You just push this button and the seat goes back into its sliding position. So very, very intuitive, very nice to have. Overall, really nice place, especially with the suede headliner. Now, sitting back in the 2nd row, these seats are very, very comfortable to sit in. It's kind of like a first class seat. You do have a little bit of a netting over here to store some goodies. And then over here is your climate control. You have heated and ventilated seats, which is not something you find on really any vehicle, is ventilated seats in the 2nd row, but you do have that here, 3 different stages. You've got your climate control settings. You also have a household outlet. Thank you, Hyundai, for putting that into this vehicle, a 12-volt adapter. And then you do have a USB port here as well. So you do have ambient lighting over here, and that is adjustable. So if you don't like this purple color, you can change that. And with the roof open, let me show you what that looks like. It's not as nice as a full panoramic roof because then you can't really see above here, but it is still really nice to have a giant window above you in the 2nd and 3rd row. So really nice touches there. Let's jump outside and let's show you the cargo area. Now, of course, you have a power lift gate on this as well, which is pretty standard, especially for vehicles at this price point. But coming to the back, you do have not a giant amount of space, but pretty decent. It's larger than some of the competitors. You do have a little bit of storage space underneath this floor as well. And you have this Harman Kardon sound system even for the trunk space, which I'm not sure exactly why, but it's nice to have. And then you do have a lot of different functionality with these buttons here. So you can actually raise and lower the seat automatically using this button over here. And I don't even know why I'm holding it, because I can actually just push the button once and the seat will come up on itself. So that is really, really useful. Even some luxury vehicles don't have this, and it will actually drop the headrest itself. So as you can see, I'm going to push this button, and as it goes down, it drops it. That's really amazing. You can do that for the passenger side as well. And then you can even adjust the 2nd row. So if you are loading something big back here, you may want to lower this 3rd row seat, and at the same time, you know what? I'm going to lower the 2nd row as well. That way I can fit just a large item, maybe a piece of plywood or something, even though I wouldn't recommend it with this nice of an interior. That is amazing, because controlling the 2nd row is kind of a whole next level of cool on a 3-row vehicle. So now let's show you another really cool feature about this Hyundai Palisade. So the Hyundai Palisade does come with massaging driver's seat. Now, unfortunately, the passenger seat doesn't have this functionality, but you can drive on a long road trip and still get a massage in your Hyundai Palisade. The next cool feature I wanted to show off is this digital mirror. Now, this isn't brand new for this vehicle, but still nice to have. I believe this is one of the additional options that was added in the 2023 facelift. Now, another incredible feature of this vehicle is Hyundai's Smart Park. Now, you may have seen this in videos, but this is my first time using this feature on a vehicle, and it really is incredible. It's kind of spooky and very James Bond-like. But first off, you got to lock the car, you got to turn it on. So you got to push the remote button. The vehicle just started. Now, let's say you want to park it into a tight spot. So you've jumped out of the vehicle. You're going to hold this button on the left-hand side, and you'll hear the vehicle actually shift it from park into drive. And I'm holding this button, and the vehicle is literally driving. This is so James Bond. It's crazy. And then I let go, and it immediately brakes. So it doesn't let it roll forward. And then the same thing to reverse. So let's say I want to put it in reverse, and it takes a second, but the vehicle has a lot of sensors activated, and here we go, it's starting to reverse. Now, I'm not going to take it really quick, but I think it keeps it at a certain speed, I'm guessing 2 or 3 miles an hour, and then let go, and it stops, and then you can turn the vehicle back off. That is amazing. Really cool to see. It may be kind of a gimmick, but let's say you are parked in a tight spot. This is a really nice way to pull it out. Like me in my garage, in my vehicle, it's very hard to get in and out of because my garage is pretty small. So that would be a nice feature to use to get maybe all 4 or 7 passengers into the vehicle. Now, lastly, let's talk about the engine, which is essentially the same from the current generation or current version. It is a 3.8 liter V6 that produces 291 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque. Now, it's a good engine. I'm not going to say anything bad about it. It gets you up and going, and it's relatively quick. I do wish it had some sort of turbocharging, or maybe, obviously not a supercharger. I don't think that would be fitting of this vehicle, but some sort of forced induction to be able to make it a little bit quicker, at least as an option, because this is currently the only engine you can get, and they don't offer any hybrid version at this time. So it's a great V6, but if you've driven any 3 to 4 liter V6 in the past, this is going to feel very similar to that. It is all sent to an 8-speed automatic transmission that's designed by Hyundai and Kia, which works really great, and you can get this in either front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Now, fuel economy for this vehicle is 19 in the city, 27 on the highway for a combined 22. That's really pretty good for a vehicle of this size with 3 rows. And you can tow upwards of 5,000 pounds with this vehicle. Now, where this vehicle really takes the cake is in terms of value, and I'm going to be talking about pricing. So the 2023 Palisade starts at just shy of $35,000. Really a good price for a 3-row crossover. Now, this particular version, which is the Calligraphy, tops out at just around $53,000. This one in particular is actually just around $51,000. So for less than 55 grand, you get all of these features in a 3-row, essentially luxurious crossover. That to me is where Hyundai really excels, is bringing you an interior and exterior that punches probably 10 to 20 grand above its weight. Truly a phenomenal job, and I was very impressed to see that window sticker because I expected to see something closer to the probably $60,000, $65,000 range. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Overall, I'm very impressed with the Hyundai Palisade and the facelifted version, but I'm curious to hear what you think down in the comments below. Do you like this? Do you like the Telluride, or are you going to pick one of the other competitors? If this is your first time stopping by, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for all of the weekly videos. And as always, everybody, I hope you stay schwazy, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day.